No, I'm not going to do the entire review in sign language. How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, John Crumplestein here, and today we are going to be reviewing A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski. A little quick announcement, I'm changing my rating system to 10 out of 10s. 1, because it's easy, and 2, it's just easier to rate the film that way. A Quiet Place. This movie is about a family in the woods trying to survive from an apocalypse of aliens. You gotta stay quiet to survive, or else you're dead. Even the faintest whisper, you could be killed. This movie was interesting to me because, one, the reviews. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it looked utterly just stupid. It reminded me a lot of the Get Out trailer, which I found to be ridiculous, over the top. However, when I saw this film, I liked it. I don't know why critics are giving it such high reviews, but I liked it. I enjoyed it, alright? It's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's the best movie ever made of the decade or the century, but it's a good film. It has so many flaws, but this movie is kind of like just meeting in the middle with negatives and positives, and it was a fine movie, alright? First off, what about the direction? It's alright. I mean, there are some shots that look a little fake, and I'm pretty sure there are some shots from this movie that are just directly stolen from other directors. You'd be surprised how many times I saw so many similar shots from John Carpenter's The Thing, or how many shots I saw from, like, Jaws that were in this movie. Like, it's insane how many times John Krasinski was just stealing from other directors. Really, the time where his direction shines is in the scenes of intensity where you're trying to stay quiet. You gotta stay quiet to survive. Those scenes are probably the best scenes in the movie because they're intense, they're gripping, and you feel some sort of, like, energy from it too. The story is alright. I mean, it's got a pretty solid first act. It's got a pretty solid second act. The first act and the second act are really great. In the first act, we get almost no dialogue, which is surprising to say the least because, you know, it's taken through, like, just sign language, which, may I say, is poorly shit. Like, they can't do sign language if they were taught it for, like, 13 years. Like, seriously, none of these actors, even the deaf girl, I couldn't believe she was doing sign language. That's another thing. I'm just gonna get this out of the way. The deaf girl in this movie fucking sucks. She can't act worth a shit. Even though she's deaf, her facial expressions are just vibrant in a negative way. She's acting like she's in a cartoon. She acts like a cartoon character. She is the embodiment of a cartoon character. Guys, back on track. Yeah, we don't get any character for, like, the first, I will say, like, 50 minutes of the movie. And then when the movie, like, gets into it, we get characters. Like, the first act kind of just sets up these characters, and then the second act is just, you know, just hardcore, intense, gratifying stuff, and then the third act is shit. Seriously. The third act forgot what those other two acts were, which were good acts. But this third act just totally forgets about the rest of the movie. Let's forget about the logic of this movie. Let's forget about everything. Because at the end of this movie, I'm just gonna spoil it, but there's flying saucers flying everywhere. They're running through cornfields. They're shooting guns. Okay, they're shooting guns. They're shooting guns, alright? In a world where you're supposed to be quiet, It just doesn't make any sense. They're shooting guns, they're running, they're screaming at each other, yet there's these aliens that are like faster than the speed of light that could kill you if they hear the faintest whisper, and you're shooting guns and screaming at each other. It just doesn't make any sense. The acting is alright. John Krasinski does a good job convincing me that he's a dad wanting to protect his family. Emily Blunt is fine. She does a good job here. The boy is actually really well acted, actually. You can tell that in every single scene that he's in, there isn't really a stunt double. Like, I was convinced that that was actually him. Or just good special effects. This movie relies on its sound design, and I think the sound design in this movie is pretty damn good. Whoever did the cinematography should probably die, like, because it looks awful. The pacing isn't all that good either. It's kinda slow. Overall, this movie is just okay. It's an okay movie. It isn't anything special. It isn't a movie that I think critics should be raving about. It's a good movie. It's a movie that plays on the audience a little. There's a review that I saw where it plays the audience like a piano. I wouldn't say it plays the audience like a piano. I'd say it plays the audience like they're supposed to understand what's happening. And my audience had a fun time with this movie. I had a fun time with this movie. It's riddled with amateur flaws, though. It's just doesn't really help it out, though. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10. Just because of the flaws that I mentioned that really ruined this movie. You know what? I quit. We finally get a good movie. We've broken that streak. You know what? I'm gonna be reviewing on next Wednesday. You know what I'm gonna be reviewing? You Were Never Really Here. That's a movie I'm reviewing for sure. I've set up in my schedule. I'm gonna go and see that movie because it looks good. I'm also gonna go and see Blockers and Rampage. Oh, don't forget Avengers Infinity War. Can't wait to see that one.